It's become a real epidemic in this country. Worse than COVID. Worse than monkeypox. In the US, we are currently suffering an outbreak of super cute, model quality bimbo, usually blonde, usually married teachers who can't stop fucking their male students. What the hell's going on? Now look, as a red-blooded American male, I could sit here and make the obvious joke, all while chortling like Beavis and Butthead. Herder. Why couldn't I have had a teacher like that? These boys today are so lucky, heh heh heh. But this is no laughing matter. This is serious. Chris Hansen, where are you? The latest episode of As the Hot Femme Pedo Turns completely blew my mind. Check out this summary about 32-year-old Marka Bodine. A former Texas 6th grade teacher will spend 2 months in prison for having a 3-year relationship with one of her students, who was between the ages of 12 and 15 at the time. She will be given until June 2023 to surrender for her brief prison sentence due to the recent birth of her child. Ms. Bodine even has a YouTube channel. In one of the videos that she made, she instructs her students to come up with a hashtag summary that describes your week. I wonder what sort of hashtag would best describe Ms. Bodine's couple days in court. How about pedo teacher gets off easy because she's female? Too long? The case against Ms. Bodine started last year. According to affidavits, she went to the principal at her school, Tomball ISD, north of Houston, to complain about a 16-year-old student of hers who was harassing her and threatening to harm himself. During the investigation, the student admitted that he'd had a sexual relationship with the teacher that had started when he was 12. Remember, he's 16 now. The two initially started messaging through Fortnite, then that progressed into texting. The relationship turned sexual sometime after the child's 13th birthday and continued for several years afterward. She sent 40 nude images to the child and even moved into the same apartment complex as him. The two continued to have dalliances even in the classroom and her car. Prosecutors were seeking a minimum of 20 years in prison for the teacher. But in a bad M. Night Shyamalan twist, Ms. Bodine was only handed 2 months in prison and 10 years probation. She doesn't even have to go to prison right away due to the recent birth of her child. Oh yeah, she was preggo, but not with her victim's child, her husband's, who is now her ex-husband. Damn, imagine getting cucked by a 13-year-old. If that ever happened to me, I wouldn't just get divorced. I'd change my name, get plastic surgery Michael Jackson style, and move to Brazil. Ms. Bodine has until June of 2023 to report to prison, giving her a whole year to destroy another innocent life. A ridiculously light sentence when you consider that some of the male perverts snagged on Chris Hansen's classic To Catch a Predator, and the reboot, Hansen vs. Predator, served years in prison for visiting a decoy after sending explicit text, without ever having even had a physical relationship with an actual flesh-and-blood minor. Ms. Bodine banged this kid for 3 years and only got 2 months and probation? What the fuck? What's disturbing about this case isn't just that Ms. Bodine preyed on this child starting from the time he was 12. It's that she evidently screwed him up so bad psychologically that he threatened to harm himself. There are few intimate details about the nature of the relationship, but it's not hard to imagine that the kid became helplessly infatuated. Might she have even put off the relationship due to her pregnancy, resulting in the boy's subsequent mental breakdown? Who knows? Of course, this isn't the first time a blonde bimbo teacher has shagged a minor. It's become somewhat of a cliche at this point. The website Zimbio has an article titled The 50 Most Infamous Female Teacher Sex Scandals. Go check it out. Probably the most famous scandal is Mary Kay Latourneau, a Seattle elementary school teacher who began a relationship with a 13-year-old boy way back in 1996. She became pregnant from the teen and gave birth to a girl the following year, after the illicit affair had been discovered. Then she got pregnant again in 1998 with a second daughter from her underage lover. After serving a prison term, Lauderdale then actually married her former victim. The couple even threw a hot for teacher night at a Seattle bar. Then there's the case of Deborah LaFave, a 23-year-old former model turned Florida teacher who got arrested in 2004 for having sex with a 14-year-old boy. This one gobbled up a ton of media frenzy. Ms. LaFave tried to plead not guilty due to insanity, as she evidently had bipolar disorder. When that didn't work, her defense attorney even tried to argue that his client was too pretty to go to jail. She later received house arrest, probation, and was forced to register as a sex offender. Later, she would whine to Matt Lauer on a Dateline interview about how, it's just so hard for her to accept the fact that she's a predator teacher. By the way, years later, Matt Lauer would himself get fired from NBC for inappropriate sexual behavior in the workplace. Which means that Dateline interview may mark the first time where a major network TV report took place in which 100% of the people shown on your screen were psychosexuals. Who knew pervs were such camera hogs, too? Anyway, back to Marka Bodine. She's just the latest episode in an ongoing sordid trend that's been largely marginalized and humorized even, from late-night talk shows to Van Halen songs. For sure, some of the teachers caught for raping minors receive just sentences, but for the most part they get far more leniency than a male predator ever would. And this is even after flagrant and prolonged relationships with minors. So why the double standard? Why does society put female predators, especially attractive ones, on a pedestal? Why are female child rapists like LaFave given comfortable TV interviews, while male child rapists are treated like a dangerous virus under glass? Part of it probably comes from a broad societal inability to perceive women as anything but victims when it comes to illicit sexual activity. Obviously, in nearly all sexual assault cases, women are the victims. Women simply can't be the aggressors due to the biological aspect of sexual intercourse, it would seem. This makes the cases of female teachers banging minors outliers. They're seen more as a curiosity than as a legitimate crime. But there's another aspect. In many of these cases, I noticed that the female teachers often maintained an ongoing, normal-esque relationship with their underage victim, which makes it seem like both parties were fully consenting. Of course, a child cannot give consent, even if it is a horny, willing male with raging hormones. Rather than being perceived for what it is, a horrendous sex crime, these female teachers are often excused for falling victim to temptation.